Welcome everyone, Questin here with a video about Belegar Ironhammer's campaign over here in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. And what I'm going to do in this video is show you one of the best ways to play this campaign in the game to maximize your power over here, because this is very much a trap campaign. What you might think you should do over here would be to go find the Broken Nose and confederate Carrick Hearn as quickly as possible. But that is a trap, just using toggle flag of Warhammer to indicate something. See, Carrick Hearn starts with two tier 1 settlements, one of which has a barracks in them. So you can confederate them very early on. In fact, you can confederate them on turn 1. But is it worth confederating them on turn 1? Well, not really. See, the AI has so many cheats on legendary difficulty that it's actually a better thing if you don't confederate them on turn 1 and instead go for something else. And that something else is going for Tylea. You can rush Skaven Blight, but even that's not necessarily worth it, because you will be spending too much time over here in the west when not necessarily a whole lot to show for it. So instead, you want to deal with Tylea. Unlike, say, the Border Princes with whom you have a non-aggression pact, you have absolutely no agreements over here with regards to Tylea. Research-wise, you want to start getting in the way of the guilds, and you want to take your army and your super powerful heroes over here to take Tylea's capital. Another thing you can use over here would be to get a lord with Grungni. The reason with Grungni, you can use the low save character system. Don't keep in mind that the trait over here will take 1 turn to take effect. This will reduce the construction cost by minus 15% for all buildings in a region. So you can start recruiting, some dwarf warriors, or you can just not recruit anything at all. That decision is up to you. But Tylea is always going to start at war with Aranessa. And what's very interesting, at least on Legendary, keep in mind that on other difficulties things will play out in a different fashion. But what's interesting to consider on Legendary is exactly what's going to happen. So Aranessa is always going to take the settlement on turn 1, and the Tylean army that is in their capital over there is always going to start moving towards that one settlement, allowing you to take over this capital, and then on turn 2, also allowing you to... I wouldn't be worried about these greenskins attacking your settlement over here, because the auto-resolve of dwarves is so strong that if they attack, dot them! That's great. But because they're over here, you can now go to Aranessa and declare war on Tylea and take their capital, and also go to Ikakla and declare war on Estalia right here in this campaign. Start getting heavy wardstones, take these 2 settlements. I'd recommend fighting these battles manually. It might be very, very beneficial if you do so. But yeah, over here we can recruit some dwarf warriors if you want to. I don't think it's really necessary in this situation, though you could try setting up an ambush right here against the greenskins to defeat them. Though keep in mind, when you fight 2 battles, you will instantly get the confederation or the confederation option with Carrick Hearn. Okay, so over here on turn 3, I've taken over the settlement from Aranessa, beaten her up, no problem. Make sure we get full plate armor. Don't worry too much about army skills right now, because you got other priorities to go for. But make sure you get the Rune of Wrath and Ruin full on. That's one of your strengths. Flash Bomb is also very, very good. Belegar is a fairly durable guy, so if you pick up the Flash Bomb, that just helps with his kind of durability. And what you can do now is go over here to Ikakla, have him declare war on Aranessa, and if you've beaten her up enough and not taken too many casualties, you can even get a peace agreement with her. You could, of course, go beat her up if you want to, but it's just kind of not necessary. Instead, what you want to get are a bunch of quarrelers right here, as well as a Thane right here from that barracks, and train a barracks here as well. Which we will be selling over here to Ikakla in order to maximize our diplomatic potential in this specific campaign. Belegar, very, very strong. And now you can go after the Broken Nose. The army there that was marching towards my capital didn't actually attack my capital. A bit of a shame. Would have welcomed the money. But now you can go over here, transport Belegar like such, sell this settlement over here to Ikaclaw, and yes, even get a defensive alliance with Ikaclaw. It will not last, because obviously Ikaclaw does not especially like you, but you can now, after picking up that Fane, you can also get an engineer with Gruni. I think I'm going to save this character as well. So we got the Fane, we got an engineer, we got the military alliance. We can get rid of this building right here and start getting gyrocopters. And we're just going to slowly move our way towards the Broken Nose. But keep in mind, it is worth it. In this context, it is actually worth it to wait a couple of turns, just a couple of turns, until Karakern is in a great position for you to confederate them. Don't go spending money like crazy in a lot of ways. Like, you could do global recruitment, you could do X, Y, and Z, right? But it's just kind of not worth it. So instead, just give all of these guys to Belegar, and over here start getting a runesmith. This will increase your local recruitment capacity, to be sure. You can also get a declaration of war with Estalia, and then a declaration of peace with Estalia, potentially. They were actually willing to accept peace the previous turn. But yeah, the greenskins here, they're not really going to be much of a threat, and we can even see Karakern to a certain extent right here. So keep in mind, it is 2 individual battles that it requires to fight against these greenskins. One of the reasons you don't want to fight a battle very early on with these guys, or at all, is because the longer you delay, like, it would be fantastic if you could get that Confederation Karakern the moment you take Karakazor, which is exactly what we're going to aim to do over here. So just go take that cell. Okay, so over here, turn 8, we're ready to go after this provincial capital. But first, what you do want to do something else right here as well. The trait that this lord has is region-wide. Remember that aspect, because it will actually be an important point to remember. Move him right here. It's not so important to level up with him, as that kind of trait is the more immediate win. And now you can confederate Karakern, do a repair, get rid of the barracks over here, and actually recruit even more gyrocopters. And now you get 2 tier 2 settlements over here that you can use. And on top of that, you can even get the arms forge if you're interested in it. But more importantly, right here, you get yourself these armies that you can now use. Against that minor greenskin faction. And you get vision with Stirland, which can also give you more opportunities in your campaign as well. So non-aggression pact with Everland, all that kind of good stuff right here. And we got ourselves a good amount of heroes in this situation, so we can even recruit, more gyrocopters right here. And take advantage of some vision that we might have with, the Jade Custodians right here, maybe Gorbad right here to declare war on Forgrim. You might say, oh, but declaring war on Forgrim is a bad idea. Is it, though? See, Forgrim is extremely unlikely to attack you, and yes, you do want to spark a rebellion right there, and make sure you do Belegar's quest battle before you move on to anything else. But regardless, right here with Alaric, what you want to do is go after this settlement. The troops he has, he may have more or less troops, depending on the kind of situation you have. And you can also recruit runesmith right here. Another groomy one. Interesting. That's very, very interesting little detail right there. Keep in mind, construction cost benefits do also...
Let us begin.
Is that Caracazor? Yes, it is Caracazor. Yeah, that does count as Caracazor. Okay. But so keep in mind, any kind of construction benefit also applies. Any construction benefit also applies in terms of your ability to repair cheaply. So the armies that you just got from Karakern, you want to turn them on the greenskins. There should be enough dwarf warriors right there that it's not really going to be a freaking issue in that context. So just turn them on the greenskins, eliminate the greenskins, and make a deal with Elspeth in the process. So over here, those greenskins, you know, they took some losses right there, fighting off against Everland. Make sure you build a barracks right here. You can dismiss this entire army, no problem whatsoever right there. And you can go after the fort in that situation. Money, again, may be a bit of an issue, but there are ways to, quote-unquote, skin the cat, if you will, if you're talking about that kind of situation. You can dismiss both those armies. You don't need both of those armies. It might be beneficial to do so. But regardless, what you want to do over here is you want to move this army next to Durfu, dismiss one of the dwarf warrior units right here, and do some scouting. Get your economy up to speed right here. You could dismiss this army as well if you want to. But maybe taking the fort is worth it, or maybe it is not worth it. That's gonna be your personal decision, if you have the money or not for it. It kind of also depends on when you confederated Karakern and how much money you had when you did that. So over here, we just don't have enough sufficient. We don't have sufficient cash to pull that off. But that's fine, right? It's okay in that situation. You might not be able to afford everything you want in a campaign like this. Keep that aspect in mind when you're trying to play Belegar's campaign, because you're probably not going to be able to afford everything you want. Actually, we kind of don't need everything over here, so we're just going to dismiss some of them, get a bit of an economic benefit. Elspeth is going to give us all the money we need. Over here, yeah, I guess we're just gonna try and build that up. How much do we need? What is the minimum force requirement? Well, I guess the only thing that we care about in this army are those quarrelers. So the fort itself, you could take it. But the fort itself kind of doesn't give you a significant benefit in terms of financial status. What Elspeth does. So just not necessarily worth it, if you will. So you can see that Durfu right there is just gonna be a bit frustrating in that situation. The important factor with Durfu over there. So you can get Steimgart, sell that to Elspeth, get her to declare war on these guys, get a military alliance with Elspeth as well in this situation. That has money, that has vision with Talabayim, that has vision with Carl, which in return, these visions allow you to also declare war on these kind of factions and take advantage of this situation for your own benefit in terms of declarations of war that you can go for, and maybe even declarations of peace, depending on the kind of situation you have on your hands. Be careful with some of these declarations of war, like Festus. Usually not an issue, not really gonna bother you that much. Other people, yep, they will bother you. So anyway, what we want to do here, we want to get Belegar right here, and now we want to attack Durfu. Is this army strong enough to deal with Durfu? Yeah, you can bet it is. So no problem. Bit of unresolved bullshit on my part, fair enough, but that's not really the relevant point.